Hey everybody, Meteorologist Mike Slifer here in the First Alert Forecast Center. Another First Alert Weather Extra, and we certainly have plenty to talk about, including what's going on outside right now. So let's start off with the temperatures across the state. Down to 12 in Salisbury, 17 in Waterbury, 20 in Norwich, 19 in Chester, 24 in New Haven, Windsor Locks, Bradley, 16 degrees currently. It is cold out there. The wind is relatively light. Wind speeds on either side of, say, 5 miles an hour. A little bit stronger in Groton, almost 10 miles an hour. And it is that sustained wind that would give a wind chill factor. But when the wind is light like this, certainly less of a wind chill factor, meaning temperatures will actually feel pretty true to themselves. We're going to see these numbers get even lower as the night goes on. Lower half of the teens popping up inland by, say, 2 in the morning. And along the shoreline, we will be in the upper half of the teens. But this is where we bottom out. Single digits away from Long Island Sound, otherwise 10 to 15 degrees. So it is going to be certainly a cold start to your Tuesday. This is your first alert to bundle up. You need to bundle up. We have been colder already this season, but we will still be close to those record low temperatures. 4 is the record low for the Hartford area. We're expecting a temperature of 7 degrees. Bridgeport's record low is 10. We are forecasting 15. So certainly going to be cold out there, and we don't recover a ton in the afternoon. It will warm up, just still not quite to where we typically might be this time of year. There is something that we're keeping our close eye on right now, and that's the cloudiness overhead, which originally we thought that with a clear sky and a calm wind, temperatures would be falling off even a little more quickly than they have been. However, we certainly are still plenty cold. There's a storm system that passed by to our south that brought measurable snow to parts of West Virginia, southern Maryland. So the mid-Atlantic getting yet another snow event while we miss out here in Connecticut. We do have some snow chances coming up. We'll talk about those in just a moment. We want to take you outside right now. A live look on our iCam here in Mystic, overlooking Mystic River Park and the Bascule Bridge. And if you look closely at the sky, you can tell that there's a little bit of that cloudiness overhead. And that, again, is what is preventing the temperatures from perhaps falling quite as quickly as they could. Here's a live look at our iCam in Rocky Hill, looking north to the Hartford skyline. Behind the buildings, we see a cloudy sky. So mostly cloudy for the time being, but temperatures are falling quickly, and they will just keep getting lower until we get into the morning. First Alert Futurecast showing some of the lingering cloudiness through about 11 o'clock tonight. It starts to move out in the pre-dawn hours tomorrow. By 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we are back to bright skies. Sunrise tomorrow, is just after 7 o'clock in the morning, so it will be a bright start to the day. And we expect to keep the sun around through the first half of the day. But by the afternoon and evening, well, we'll start to see the clouds thicken up. So we are letting you know that on the checklist tomorrow morning, as you get ready to step out the door or perhaps send your kids out the door, this is what you need. Winter coats? Check. Gloves? Check. Hats? Check. You need it all because it is going to be bitterly cold outside. As we get into the afternoon, we're back close to 30 degrees inland. We're expecting lower 30s along the shoreline. So southern Connecticut a little bit milder despite the increasing cloudiness. And the reason for that increasing cloudiness is as high pressure moves away from us, we'll see this warm front on the approach. And this is what is going to bring about some changes here in Connecticut. So there's the warm front, maybe an isolated snow shower or flurry tomorrow night. By Wednesday, we're watching our next storm system approach from the west, and that moves in on Wednesday. And we'll see this split across Connecticut of rain and snow. So First Alert Futurecast here showing that by 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe some isolated snow showers out there, but a lot of this will get going in the afternoon. And it's essentially the 84 corridor that will be the split, south and east of the 84 corridor, a little bit wetter. Even this newest run of First Alert Futurecast actually even more mirroring the 91 corridor here. So we, again, along in northwest of 84, it's some snow, southeast, it's rain. We're not looking at big totals, and the reason is because of the temperature on Wednesday. So as the day goes on, the showers move on out. Wind stays out of the southwest. So temperatures are actually expected to climb into the 40s, perhaps even the mid or upper 40s. Now, we can't rule out a coating to an inch of snow. This would be a very slushy accumulation across the higher elevations of northwestern Connecticut. But when you see a temperature trend like this, near freezing to begin the day, above freezing along the shoreline, peaking in the 40s, even where that colder air might be stuck in some of the terrain across northwestern Connecticut, we're still going to be close to the freezing mark. or above the freezing mark. So that will make accumulation a little bit more difficult, and we're not expecting this to be a steady precip type of event. These are going to be snow and rain showers, so some breaks here and there, a little bit of downtime in between perhaps, and that is going to make or break really the chance of seeing any accumulation. This time of year, especially when it's a little bit milder outside, you have to have higher snowfall rates in order to overcome the warmth. It does not look like we will have that on Wednesday. Thursday, 32 to start the day off, 37 in the afternoon, so not much of a change there from the morning to the evening. Breezy on Thursday, breezy on Friday, and then Saturday we are in the mid-30s. Friday and Saturday appear to be the brightest days of the week. Sunday, well, that's going to be the time frame that we watch. Not only will temperatures be back down to, say, the upper 20s for highs inland, a coastal storm could move by. Depending on how it moves relative to Connecticut, well, that could increase our chances for some snow. And then by Monday, we are breezy. Now, this does not look like a blockbuster event by any means, and it certainly will get colder behind that system. 34 Tuesday, 46 Wednesday, 40 on Thursday, 37 Friday, Saturday, down to 32 Sunday, 29 on Monday. So let's take you to our next big thing. This weekend, the colder air returns. Temperatures both days will be below normal, but especially Sunday. It will be unseasonably cold out there. Snow showers will be possible. The latest model runs show a storm system offshore, and as is typically the lead time when we're talking about day 6, not only is this a relatively new feature as of today, but some models are still close to a miss where, we might see some snow shower activity. But the takeaway is that neither model looks like a blockbuster. Here's where we stand for the season. 2.7 inches of snow so far this winter for the Hartford area, a trace in Bridgeport. Now, compared to where we typically would be this far into the season, we are running deficits in both locations, almost a 2-inch deficit in Bridgeport. So we will have to see how things trend on Sunday, because it certainly looks like, at least in Bridgeport and Hartford, it'll be a mainly rain event. That hasn't stopped us, of course, from dealing with cold weather. Every day so far this month has been cooler than normal, and tomorrow we will continue that trend. We'll see how Wednesday works out. That's really the only chance over the next 7 days, and even then, we're expecting temperatures to be near normal. We're not even forecasting necessarily a warm day, and then that colder air returns starting later Wednesday into Thursday, but especially into Friday and the weekend. So when it comes to cold, we've had plenty of it. We'll talk about the long-term trend in just a moment. It is worth mentioning here, too, that we have been at least a little active this month so far, but the last several days have been dry. And then, of course, those shower chances increase for Wednesday. Here's the 8 to 14-day outlook. And the reason we're even showing this here is because it brings up an interesting theme so far this month, in that it has been chilly and it will likely continue to be chilly. Temperatures are expected to be running below normal in the December 16th through 22nd time frame, which is what's shown here. At the same time, our normal high is falling. By the 15th of the month, the normal high for the Hartford area is 41. By January 1st, 37. And then, of course, we are in the 30s, essentially for the remainder of meteorological winter. By the end of February, the normal high is back up into the lower 40s. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. So we've been dealing with a pattern that has made it feel more like you might typically expect in the middle of January compared to early December. In other words, it has certainly been cold. You could argue unseasonably so on some of those days where the highs were only in the lower 30s or upper 20s. There is more cold air on the way, and as the normal high temperature falls, if the forecast calls for things to be below normal, it's going to be below that threshold. So in other words, colder than the normal high. The normal high is colder in a week and a half than it is right now. So just goes to give a little bit of perspective as to how things may trend. In brighter news, literally, well, soon, we had 9 hours and 13 minutes of daylight today, and we will bottom out at 9 hours and 7 minutes. We have 6 minutes of daylight left to lose. We have already lost 6 hours and 1 minute of daylight since the summer solstice. The winter solstice is on December 21st at 10:03 in the morning, and that is going to be our shortest day of the year. In other words, the shortest time between sunrise and sunset. However, a little fun fact for anybody listening. The earliest sunsets of the year are right now, 4:19 is the current sunset, and it will be that way for the next several days. But as we get into the end of, or rather, the beginning of next week, sunset is actually going to start to get a little bit later. So even though our shortest day of the year is on the 21st, the earliest sunsets are now. By the end of the month, sunset is back around 4:30, and by the end of January, sunset's back in the 5 o'clock hour. So we only have, we'll say, 8 weeks left, 6 to 8 weeks left of these really, really early sunsets, anything before 5 p.m. Because by the end of January, those later days actually start to become fairly noticeable, and they certainly will become noticeable throughout February and into March. That's it for our First Alert Weather Extra. We'll have much more in the First Alert forecast coming up on the Wax at 10 and Eyewitness News at 11, and you can join Scott Haney and Jill Gilardi tomorrow morning, both on air, on the app, and right here on our First Alert Weather Extra. Have a great night, everybody. Join us on the Wax in 20.